second shot. And the reason they said that is because they were thinking that you didn't have any protection unless you had that antibody response. Well, they knew that this was a problem Moderna and Pfizer did years ago, and that's why Carrico and Wiseman got a Nobel Prize for putting a synthetic uridine in there. It's an N1-methylpseudouridine that evades the detection of the toll-like receptor. So your body will start making these foreign proteins. Well, as these foreign proteins are being made, you have another layer of protection. It's called cytotoxic T cells. As these proteins are being made by your cells, they're going to show parts of those proteins on little what are called MHC sites on their surfaces. And your cytotoxic T cells are constantly looking at those MHC sites, type 1 sites, to see what's actually going on inside of the cells, because our cells are making proteins all day long. That's what they do. So our surveillance system is checking to see if something foreign is being made. And that's what these injectable products are doing. They're making foreign proteins. So when your cytotoxic T cells see that happening, they send an apoptotic signal to those cells, and the cells will literally kill themselves. So if this is happening over large areas of your tissues, for example, the endothelium, which lines your blood vessels, even the lining of the heart, if it's happening in larger areas, then you start to have tissue destruction. And this can lead to vascular problems like microhemorrhaging, microclotting. If it gets bad enough, you can start to have strokes and heart attacks and even myocarditis. And Nick, this is what people don't really understand. This is happening before the protein even gets made. But the problem is we're injecting so much of this stuff that your cytotoxic T cells are not able to keep up with it. So what happens is these foreign proteins do get made, and they do get secreted into the bloodstream. And then they start to circulate through your body. Well, that's what they want to happen, because they want your body to build an antibody against that protein. That's the goal here. But it takes about 2 weeks for your body to build an appropriate antibody response against those proteins. And that's why, Nick, when this whole vaccine thing started, and you'll remember this, they said you're not fully vaccinated until 2 weeks after your second shot. And the reason they said that is because they were thinking that you didn't have any protection unless you had that antibody response, which takes 2 weeks. But that's not where the protection is. The protection is cellular. It involves those cytotoxic T cells, and it also involves other things in your mucosal layer. It does not involve these serum antibodies that they're trying to generate.
It's fundamentally flawed. It is fundamentally flawed, and these PLVs, particularly compared to what they've been using, the LNPs, they're just the lipid nanoparticles with cholesterol. So these PLVs, if we look at this graph here, so it looks like they go everywhere, even more so than the LNPs did. There's an even higher biodistribution, although less toxicity. You're going to have this antigen production everywhere at higher levels. Is that correct?
That is absolutely correct. And they're very proud of that. But the part that they're ignoring is the
cytotoxic T cells. Virus-infected cells are killed by cytotoxic T cells.
Inside all of us lurks a serial killer. A killer whose primary function is to kill and then kill again. These are cytotoxic T cells, a specialized member of our white blood cells.
Hi, Dr. Kev. Hello, everyone watching. So there's Dr. Kev explaining. There's something called cytotoxic T cells. They're toxic. The whole planet's been doing immunology for 5 years. And Dr. Kev has to explain what they're called, as if everyone hasn't learned them. The whole planet doing immunology hasn't learned the most important part of immunology. So they're called cytotoxic T cells. They've been around forever. They're a real thing. And they surveil and patrol. And Kev's explained these new lipid nanoparticles is going to go even more biodistributed. So when the spike is being made, the cytotoxic T cells will see that and toxically destroy. And everyone's looking for a toxic thing, so it's probably the cytotoxic T cells. We've all had 5 years to figure that out. I figured it out straight away. Dr. Kev knows it. Dr. Bhakti knows it. And Dr. Kev said at the end, the thing is they're ignoring the cytotoxic T cells. The experts and stuff were ignoring. That's the problem. The experts were ignoring the cytotoxic T cells. Everyone else isn't to blame. Everyone else ignoring cytotoxic T cells. You're fine. You're okay. It's not your fault. Just keep ignoring the answer. Yeah. And then the interviewer guy, he did well. He ignored them too. So we've all done really well today. Dr. Kev, it's a brilliant article. I'll share as much as I can, but there, I'll put this on YouTube and you can use those videos to help you teach people cytotoxic T cells. I'll give you a hint. You can't teach people cytotoxic T cells. You can't educate on it. The dark force. You won't beat the dark force. You waste your time. You'll be like Dr. Bhakti. You'll just waste your time. Doesn't work. You got to know the dark force. Yeah. So there's T cells, and there's X-wings, and there's wolves. It couldn't be more cool. And there's serial killers, and they kill and kill again. It's pretty obvious, isn't it? What's killing everyone? The killer T cells. What's toxic? The cytotoxic T cells. Right, planet. I think you got a problem. Dr. Kev, you go ahead and keep trying to educate. I'll be here when you're ready. I can wait. It's about 1,000 people dying a day. I can wait.